All right, all right. What up? 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. I got the glasses for this one, so y'all know I ain't playing. All right, so we're gonna jump into this one. This one's probably gonna be the wildest one that I posted, and there's a reason for it. I'm still not going to say all the things that I have endured in the past 2 months, but I am going to say a little bit more about what I expect this week to hold for me. I believe that all of their efforts have been marching towards this particular week. As you know, this journey started for me asking a few questions about my father, Victor Coleman Sr., who went missing in 1976. So quick recap, this started because one of the glaring details to me was that the official police report says that he disappeared on March the 30th, which happens to be mi madre's birthday. That means mother in English for y'all that ain't bilingual like me. And so I find it hard to believe that everybody knows the story of Victor Coleman, that no one mentioned that it was my mom's birthday, that they were prepping for her birthday, or it ruined her birthday, or any of that stuff. That's weird. That's weird that nobody would mention that, right? Not my mom. I would get it, but that's weird. Not my grandma, not my aunt, not my uncle, not nobody. Nobody mentioned it. So that's one. The next question that I had was, well, how many days do we think that it was in between the time that that first official report was made? That's when I started to get the silence and the subliminal psychological tactics, basically. I'm going to tell this quick recap, and then I'm going to show some slides that have bullet points that kind of give an overall energy of what I've been dealing with, without like getting into all of the little details that I can't 100% prove. Like, and I'll say that, I'll be very honest. There's a lot of things that are happening that you just have to know the difference between real and fake for you to know that someone is orchestrating something to put you in a position, right? Like I said, I believe that part of my sacrifice or scapegoating or whatever is for me to get on the internet and say a bunch of crazy things from a position of being frantic. I'm not frantic. This is strictly to document what I'm going through in case anything happens to me. I would love for everything that I'm saying right now to absolutely be false. I would love for everything that I'm saying about my family to absolutely be false. I don't want anyone to think that I'm sitting here believing with 100% certainty and want this so bad to be true. I don't think that anyone would go their entire life in a system or in a family and would be okay with finding out that you basically was raised on performative love, but the real goal was control. You were in a system that you didn't know that you were in. You don't have a choice, but you can't leave. They don't tell you the rules. You just have to comply. You ask questions or want to be independent, you're being disrespectful. And this isn't limited to how old you are, right? So there's plenty of stories in my family of random people dying, family members being ostracized and moving to other cities to get away from the family, all of these things. I had a cousin in 2016 graduate from college. She put herself back in school. She's about my age, one of my favorite cousins when we were young. Put herself through school, got herself a good job, was planning to relocate. She actually had issues with my grandmother, who is the reigning matriarch at 92 right now. And now she's in a wheelchair. She had medical complications that no one could explain. I don't think she can talk. She can text, but she's a shell of the beautiful person that she was prior to the mishap. Again, I'm not going to say that 100% I believe that they did it, but after a while, man, like there's only so many coincidences before you start paying attention. You know what I mean? So anyway, my thing is so many things that not just around my father disappearing, but then just my childhood. The fact that nobody was willing to offer random details. You know, he got brothers and sisters. Was he the fastest one? He was the oldest. Was he the fastest? Was he the strongest? Could he dance? Did he like chicken? You know what I'm saying? What was his favorite meal? You know, a lot of this stuff I said before, but like to me, I'm not the only person that grew up without one of their parents. So for those other people that are out there, I'm assuming, you know, unless your mom or your dad didn't like your other parent, that they shared some things, right, about that person. All I know about my dad supposedly is that he was an incompetent drug dealer and got caught dealing with some stuff that he didn't know what he was doing, blah, 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 right? So even that, if he was me in terms of the scapegoat, they're still kicking dirt on his name. They're still assassinating his character. They never told me he was a musician. They never told me that he could sing well. They never told me that all the things that he did well are the things that I do well, right? As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say that my mom is a main reason that it took for me to get into my 40s before I finally trusted that I was the shit. Because every time I tried to do something, she undercut it. I was in Vibe magazine once. Well, my group was. They reviewed our album or something like that, and I was happy. I was in Florida. I wasn't even in Philly no more. So for me to see a magazine with us in it in Florida, and I just happened to be in the grocery store and seen it, I was excited. And the first person I wanted to share it with was my mom, and she was like, "Where does it say Victor Coleman?" Like, that's just one of the many things, right? So when you know about narcissists, when you know about people that want to control you and stuff, you realize that they like to steal your thunder, right? If they could figure out what you're happy about, then they could downplay it until you're not really that happy about it no more, right? So it took me a minute before, like I said, I think I told y'all, one day I was just sitting here and all of my stuff started playing. I had pretty much almost kind of was like, I'm not doing this no more. And I listened, I was like, wait, that guy was really good. What happened? Why didn't I believe that? And now I know why. You know what I'm saying? But the point of all of this and connecting the dots is, like I said, to this day, they're still kicking dirt on his name. They don't tell me good qualities, right? I can't say whether he was a drug dealer or not. I can't say if that's what he wanted to do more than sing or not, right? I wasn't here in 1976. But all I know is nobody gave me really any pieces of him. I got one picture. It's sitting right here. The other one is his missing persons picture on Google. When you punch in Victor Coleman, he blowing a kiss or something like that, like a duck face. You know what I'm saying? So all I have to say, my mom is next in line to be the matriarch of this Mothergoddess dark cult that they have. His mother would have been 42 at the time, and she's the reigning matriarch right now. When you go into power, there's a sacrifice that takes place of the firstborn son as the offering, right? In some text, it says that it's not like a complete destruction. They just assassinate your character, make it so nobody believes you, and leave you dismembered or disabled, right? So if I don't pop up on this bitch, and yes, I said bitch, if I don't pop up on this bitch on Monday the 16th, posting in my normal form, unscathed, I'm going to need whoever the remaining of my friends are, because I don't know who y'all are, whoever the remaining of my friends are to get active, bruh. I'm putting everything up here that y'all need in case anything happens to me. Because I'm not going nowhere. I got plenty of music that I've already recorded and that I plan to keep recording. I'm just trying to build my label. I'm almost 96% into this creative lifestyle. Finally got out of the corporate robot stuff. I'm happy, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with me. So the other part of that is I wrote a fake obituary in October that my mom has in her possession. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many levels to this dumb shit that I gotta make sure that I remember everything that I said or have shared with this lady. So if for some reason I go missing and then here comes this long-winded fucking obituary, I wrote it just because I worked with AI closely over the past year or so. I started a recruiting business with it. I made money with it. I've survived off of AI for the last year. But I noticed that one of the narratives that is being spun is that, oh, well, he spent so much time on AI, he done lost his mind. See, and that's the thing when you get people trying to come up with a narrative for their own purposes, because they're just grabbing headlines and trying to apply them to me, right? At the end of the day, there has been no real concern shown for someone who they thought has lost their mind dealing with AI, right? What I've gotten is overt popping up and all of that stuff after I told them that I didn't want to talk to them. But like my mom, who's probably the main one spreading the narrative, she hasn't shown no concern, even if it was sporadically like, hey, I'm just checking on you, seeing how you doing today, Vic. Nah, none of that. As a matter of fact, the last text message I got from my mom the other day said, I will not discuss anything that happened in December, and I'm not going to discuss your boundaries. To me, if you're not going to discuss my boundaries, you didn't even have to mention it. You didn't even have to mention it, because the fact that you're mentioning not discussing my boundaries is invalidating my boundaries. Like that was your intention. But you're trying to send these text messages in a way that when they're read by someone else, you seem like, ironically, I said, Mom, so you're going to play the whole loving mother that was worried about her son that hasn't texted him in 2 months? And so that's when I got that text. Let's give you context for why she responded to me. And yeah, I've said some crazy things as I've tried to figure this out, especially when I started to realize that there was a dark, sacrificial part of this, right? Like I said, well, what was y'all trying to do? Make ghetto Jesus? Because a part of some of the rituals that I found is where they're like thinking that they're transferring energy from this sacrifice to themselves, right? I don't know if it's to prolong life or to take their attributes or whatever. I'm not saying if I believe in that or not, because I never even had the thought until I read it. But all I know is my father is missing and was never found. All I know is that the people that were supposedly protecting him and cared the most about him don't even talk about him. And when they do, it's with contempt. How can you still have contempt for someone that's been gone for 50 years and was only a child? He was 22 years old. That sounds like an intentional, like they're stuck in character assassination mode. I don't see no pictures of my father. Well, I haven't seen too many of them anyway, but in all the pictures, he don't look like the person they describe. I'm pretty good at reading people. I'm a recruiter. I do it for a living. I can read your energy before you actually say anything to me. I know who you are. I know if I'm going to hire you. You could fail the interview and I'll still know if I'm going to hire you based off of what I'm reading on you that you didn't say, because some people don't interview well. So I'm not just reaching, I'm using some of my natural soft skills to put this together. Human behavior, I'm big on that. Human behavior, emotional intelligence, all of those things I'm really good at reading. So for me to ask a question about someone that they supposedly cared about and then get stonewall and intimidation again to someone they supposedly care about, that has me thinking that what I'm dealing with is something that I would never want to imagine, right? I would never want to imagine. Like I said, I would never want to imagine that this is true about my family. I would hope that it's not. But why else can't we come up with a soft date as to when we think he disappeared if you're telling me that March the 30th possibly wasn't it? And then everybody wants to talk about July and April. Why are we talking about past March the 30th? Why are we talking about that? Was he alive March the 30th or not? It's a lot of confusion. So we're going to have this conversation from the standpoint of these mugs be sacrificing people. And if that's the case, allegedly, I'm next. But I've taken steps to safeguard myself. I mean, I gotta go outside, so I'm gonna go with God and my dog. Um, but Grace is a lover, not a fighter. So I'm gonna have to pull out my yellow belt skills on these suckers and let them know that somebody coming with me if I'm going anywhere. But all right, let's jump into it. Basically, my family is, before we get to the matriarch breakdown, they would be called a high control family system, where basically the authority is centralized, the rules are often unspoken, and independence is treated as betrayal. Members may feel pressure to conform emotionally and socially. That is the type of stuff that I'm dealing with right now. It's an unhealthy system. One figure becomes the like emotional center of power. That would be my grandmother, and then my aspiring mom. Decisions flow through one person. Loyalty becomes a requirement. Boundaries are seen as disrespect, which would tell you why she wasn't going to discuss my boundaries, right? Family identity overrides individual autonomy. Bruh, what? Like, that's what I'm feeling. That's what's happening. Good members equal compliant and useful. Problem members equal questioning or independent. Acceptance is based on obedience, not connection, right? If I was having two people that are connected to each other work towards a solution, but if it is based on my obedience, then you stonewall me, unified front, and try to get me to come back and play ball. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. That's not who I am. I'm just not going to do that. Conflict is managed through exclusion or shame. So now they got me isolated, right? I'm isolated. Ain't no shame. They not going to shame me. As a matter of fact, at one point there was a pineapple left outside my crib. I guess that was to tell me that they was going to tell y'all that I had some swinger affiliation at some point in my life. I'm not embarrassed by anything that I've done. If anybody releases any video of me, it will be promo. Believe that. So shame ain't going to work on me. There's nothing that I've done in my life that can't surface that I can't overcome. Because I made the decision and I stuck to it. You know what I'm saying? What else do we got here? Family history may be vague or hidden. This is how they control information in silence. Questions are met with discomfort or shut down. Missing details create confusion and dependency, right? The longer they hold these answers from me, the more I'm dependent on them, or so they think. But then also, if you think about it, like I said, only time they talk about my father is like to get a rise out of me. They don't really, they don't ever really tell me nothing. Oh, I thought I saw him in the grocery store. Why are we playing with, is he dead or not? He been missing. Y'all didn't really look for him. But now y'all want to tell me somebody signed a paper in your classroom and signed it Victor Coleman, but there was no Victor Coleman in your class. Like, these are the stories that they tell me, right? Just to get my attention. Why are they playing with me like that? But they can't tell me if his favorite color was blue or not. So anyway, like I said, this is all for documentation. I'm not here for your entertainment. I'm not here for no entertainment. I'm not here to boost another song or anything like that. It just so happened that that song that I made was kind of related to it because, you know, that was more about Out and Carl than anything else. I wanted the world to see him for the sucker that he was, especially all the people that knew how tight we was over all of these years. So yeah, I don't want anybody to confuse that either. I'm not trying to merge the two. I'm not like, yo, I'm gonna ride the wave of people paying attention to my story to make music. If I'm inspired, I'm gonna make it, and that's what happened that day. It was either that or send a bunch of text messages to people, and I said, you know what? God gave me the ability to transmute these emotions, man. Let me just Let me just do that. So that's what I did. Silence becomes a form of power. And that's pretty much what it is, right? I still have no answers. And now I'm out here doing all this study and I'm getting a damn college degree on cults and narcissistic family structures, all so that I could stay ahead of them and not go out like my pop, man. Bruh, if y'all let me disappear and let Victor Coleman Part 2 disappear unanswered, I'm haunting all of y'all. If I met you in person at least one time, I'm going to be sitting on your couch every day. Believe that. Oh, all right. So then we got scapegoating and reputation distortion, which is where I kind of feel like I am right now. I've got people in my building that I've like returned their wallet. When their lights was on a Friday night, I knocked on their door and was like, yo, I was Mr. State Farm, good neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all of a sudden these people walking around me like I got cooties. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, hold up, what's happening? And I'm like, damn, my mom really got people moving around now. How is she doing that? Like I said, I can't prove all of it, but you know how people move. You know the energy. People don't really got to say a lot of things to you, but you could just tell. And me and my neighbors don't be like, hey, what's up, Vic? It's not like that. But you could tell in our head nods, you know, that's normal for us. But when they looking at their feet all of a sudden, every time they see you, everybody in my neighborhood that I've ever come in contact with, that's weird, man. That type of stuff don't bother me too much because I know that I'm just going to continue to be me. Eventually, they're going to realize that somebody told them something that was distorted. I don't know how a stranger can be influenced by another stranger about someone that they barely know. Like, none of these people even really know me like that, right? They know I say hello. So why would they be concerned? What could be told to them that all of a sudden would be concerning, right? I'm climbing in through people's windows. Yo, watch out for that dude. He done stole my TV last week. Like, I don't know what could be said, but I just know that it makes me feel bad for the world that we're that easily influenced and we're that easy to remain blind when someone is like putting something in front of your face and being like, dog. Like, what I've learned is your reputation really doesn't matter when people have no context. When anything sounds out of the ordinary of their world and their reality, when things sound like it could be on TV, nah. Somebody's like, yo, I hear you, what you saying, but all that far-reaching stuff, nah, I don't know. And I just have to eat that. I don't need you to believe it because when I hang up the phone with you, I'm going to be dealing with it still. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I come out of this, I'm going to have to find a place in myself to forgive those people because I understand that I don't know how I would have acted if I was on the other side of it. I've already thought about that. I've already thought about, one, I have to have a certain amount of temperance when I'm talking to people and not try to force my agenda, not try to force what I feel because I have to have understanding to understand their seat that they're sitting in, basically, right? And that keeps me grounded because I'm a passionate person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could easily fly off the handle about a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with. I honestly want to punch somebody in the face. That would be a lot easier if somebody just showed up and let me punch them in the face instead of the psychological BS that they're trying to do. So anyway, scapegoat and reputation distorting. One person becomes the unstable one. That's me. Concerns are dismissed as overreaction. I mean, I guess my boundaries are my concerns and they just don't like that shit. Stories may be spread to discredit. And that's what I think is happening with my neighbors. I think that's what's happening with my friends. I don't really know what was said to my friends. I just speak the truth. So it's possible that my mom or somebody, it might have been Carl for all I know, either recorded or went back and said something. Yo, there's this girl in my complex. I'll tell you a quick story. There's a girl in my complex that I've been seeing for like a year. Probably 2 or 3 days before Christmas, I introduced myself to her and said, yo, it's time that we stop being strangers or whatever. we say hello all the time, but I would like to, know your name. So when I say hello, I can include your name. So it wasn't like a pressure moment. We didn't exchange numbers or nothing. I didn't want nothing from her. I just wanted to actually officially introduce myself. And it was cool. You know what I'm saying? We walked away feeling like we made a connection. I would say within a week or so, bro, she was just looking at me crazy, right? She just now started talking to me again. Like I would say within the last 3 days, she's consistently said hello to me, like first. But before, it was like she had to make sure that I was the same dude that introduced myself to her. So this isn't just like people that I barely talk to.